Foxy was playing around on the internet, showing me that we had a few commenters from the Bleeding Cool page, which is cool because you visit the YouTube page and everybody really likes us.
Yeah, on YouTube where it's nothing but positivity, which thank you guys. It's awesome that you're so supportive. You're the reason we do this. I swear to God. John and Batgirl were, I guess, upset that they had to watch this video. But guess what, guys? You don't have to watch this video. Nobody's holding a gun to your head.
So this week's episode, shockingly, does not feature any written reviews. There are, in fact, tons of websites that we will happily give you the addresses for, because I do want you to be reading the books that you want to read. I know this is an important industry for both of us. Believe me, I don't do this for the pay.
No,
this is actually pro bono.
We're gonna have discussions, and they're not gonna be written. And if you want to make a transcription, feel free. You think it's easy to make videos, do you? You think it's easier to type? Batgirl, you think it's easier to type than it is to film and edit? Come on, guys.
Wu-Tang.
This takes a lot of effort. All right.
Center yourself. You're okay.
You'll be okay, Foxy.
All right.
I'm not a glove.
No.
Puppet lives matter. That's all I'm saying. Batgirl.
I mean, I do kind of want to have a beer with you.
Just because your name is so fun to say.
Yeah, it's fun. Batgirls forever. There's still hope for you.
There's hope for you, Batgirl. Batgirl.
Do it one more time.
Batgirl.
Should we do it one more time? Because I got to pick up the books.
Okay. Batgirl.
All right. Did you get it out of your system?
No.
Okay. So here is our honorable mentions for this week. Turns out this was a giant week for books, so we're going to go through some honorable mentions. Starting with the Image Comics display book program for this week was Stray Bullets, issue number 1, Sunshine and Roses. I've read a number of Stray Bullets in the past before. They're always like, they remind me of really brutal Love and Rockets. Like if you were reading Love and Rockets and then all of a sudden people just started getting their heads blown off like for 3 pages in a row, it'd be kind of like Stray Bullets.
Yeah, man. People get their heads blown off in that.
It's a pretty violent book.
Yeah, if you're into noir, if you're into true crime, I mean, this isn't true, but it's truly horrifying.
It's in that vein.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff. Next up on the list, we have Miss Marvel issue number 11, featuring some amazing artwork. Some of those panels.
Yeah, man.
I'm really
Adrian Alphona, G. Willow Wilson, everybody's still firing on all cylinders. This book will not disappoint, but you've probably heard us talk about it before, so moving right along.
Moving right along, we have Velvet issue number 9. We are like deep into the second story arc, and it's like on the same level of spy espionage as like the best of the Bond movies, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Like, man, issue 9 is not a jumping on point, but it has some great twists and turns to it. Next up, moving right along to the Black Vortex, issue number 1.
Good stuff, actually. Yeah, all new X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy crossover. If you're into Cape books, this is drawn by Ann McGuinness and Chris Anka, so it's nice. It's a nice presentation. There's space action. It's going to be a big crossover event thing. Not an event book, really. It's kind of like a mini crossover event thing, because it's not either title, but it crosses. It's kind of like Battle of the Atom scale.
Awesome. Next up on our list, we have, this is actually pretty exciting. This is a double feature collected edition of Lady Mechanika, issue number 0 and 1. These are actually quite old. They came out a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Originally.
Maybe longer. Yeah, they're getting ready to put out some new material. They suffered from huge delays and then were dropped altogether, and now it looks like they're going to be back on track for a little while. Hopefully finish those first couple of story arcs that they set up.
Yeah, you were a big fan of those, right?
I really like it. I'm not a huge steampunk fan, but this one kind of drew me in. It seems like quote-unquote authentic steampunk. Like the worlds are actually functional and alive, and I feel that's an industry that gets a lot of like tropes.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
it's a babe with a steam engine.
Right, it's like, here's boobs and goggles, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Boring. Moving on. Next up, it is Spawn, issue number 250, written by Brian Wood.
The Return of Al Simmons.
It is the Return of Al Simmons. It is a huge issue. It is $6.99, and you get, definitely get the page count for it. So I'm only half of the way through digesting it. But no, Spawn 250, it's cool. Al Simmons is back. If you're an old school Spawn fan, you'll really like it because all of the classic Spawn characters are making are going to be coming back. That's going to move us right along to our top 5. And let's see. First up on our list of top 5, it is Nameless, issue number 1 by Grant Morrison, new Image comic.
And Chris Burnham's art is the big star in this one.
Yeah, you definitely liked it for the art. It was a Grant Morrison story for me. I'm a huge fan of Grant Morrison. I know that I'm not going to get a whole lot of the story in issue number 1. I'm pretty much going to get the tone for the characters. And then he's going to fill me in on the story as he remembers it or as he feels like it. I don't know.
As he comes back to this earthly plane.
Yeah, but so far we have occults, fish monsters, asteroids with occult markings on them in space. No talking chimpanzees yet, but they won't be far behind. It's going to be that kind of a story. Coming in at number 4 on our list is Saga issue number 25, featuring Fox. You're going to have to put this up.
They haven't had the wraparound cover ever. It's only ever the first, the front cover, but just for the fans.
Yeah,
Miss Staples did this big wraparound.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We definitely do.
And Arc 5 starting out. What more can we say? What haven't we said?
It wouldn't be a top 5 this week if Saga wasn't on it, because it would be a lie. It's number 4 because it's a new place to start, and the arcs will only get better. So believe me, by the end of this arc, it'll be number 1.
It'll be number 1.
It's going to work its way right up through the food chain.
I mean, it's great comics.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3, it is Star Wars issue number 2, featuring Darth Vader, a man that knows all about revenge and fear and the power of the dark side. Boxy. And all I have to say about this is I would fall down on my knees in front of Jason Aaron at a convention and just like kiss his feet, because he's made Darth Vader the coolest villain ever. From the opening page of dialogue, you just... evil. Yeah, sorry. I had to talk about that for a minute. And then Han Solo was hilarious.
Yeah.
And Leia is also hilarious.
Everyone's doing their best.
Everyone is great. Everyone reads like the characters that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, coming in at Foxy's number 2 and my number 1. There was a dispute on this, but we're just going to roll with it. These next 2 books, really...
interchangeably both number 1.
It depends on your emotions.
Do you want to be happy or sad?
And I love it because it's a great place to start reading it. You do not have to have read number 1.
Though you should.
Though you should, but like Ryan North goes out of his way to explain to you that what he's doing is explaining number 1, because he's well aware that not a lot of people are going to have bought it, and so Marvel's not going to have printed a lot of them, and they're going to be sold out, and we're going to be waiting for second prints. So he's like, hey, in the future, just buy it, but it's cool. I got your back this time.
And he's just funny like that.
And he's funny.
He can work it into the script, and it's worthwhile.
Yeah. Every page, I was laughing, and I was finding like wonderful ways to enjoy comics, which brings us to number 1, which every page I was finding new ways to be sad. It is Hawkeye issue number 21.
It's the penultimate issue of Matt Fraction and David Aja's Hawkeye.
It's what we've been waiting for.
Now the countdown begins. Will the final issue of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye come out before or after Jeff Lemire's first issue?
I'm gonna say week after release.
I'm hoping for simultaneous release.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be a good week.
That would be a great week. This is a heavy issue, folks.
Everything about it, it's amazing what they're able to do on the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
They will make you get the feels.
Mm-hmm.
I got the feels real hard.
Yeah, you were.
I was tearing up a little bit.
You were in a dark place at the end of this issue.
It's depressing. Even you said it was depressing.
Even
And you
I
were
said
like,
it was
man,
depressing.
now I've already read Squirrel Girl, so what am I going to do to feel better?
Yeah, what was I left with? We are now going to move on to our previews watch, and at the end of this episode, we have a really awesome special thing, so stay tuned. Or skip around, whatever. This is for stuff primarily shipping in April. First up on our list from DC Comics, Convergence, the new DC event that will be happening this summer while DC shifts its offices from New York to LA.
All bets are off.
There are a few that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, there's 3 books in Convergence that we're really stoked on, based on the creative teams.
Right, I mean, just looking at the creative teams, with no merit to anything else. We have 2 from
Jeff Parker,
thank you. We have a Shazam and a Hawkman, Hawkgirl comic.
And the Shazam is drawn by Doc Shaner, who did the... this is the creative team that brought us our favorite Flash Gordon comic.
Yes.
So...
yes. I know, it's going to be great. That Flash Gordon comic is awesome. We finally got the last issue for it, which was cool.
Oh, yeah. And then the Hawkman is pitting Hawkman and Hawkgirl against the mutant animal creatures from the Commandi universe.
Right, which who doesn't like mutant animal creatures?
I know I do.
I do not. They terrify me.
Right?
The U-Folker. And then the final one we have is The Question, written by Greg Rucka, which is Greg Rucka. You might know him from such memorable works as Lazarus.
And Gotham Central, which is where he really got... I mean, that's where he really wrote Renee Montoya for a long time, and she's The Question.
Yeah,
so
and yeah.
He's returning to one of his favorite characters.
Which I'm pretty sure is the only way that got him to do this.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him working with DC.
Yeah,
he did not leave on good terms.
Nobody leaves DC on good terms. Next up, we have...
the other side of the front cover of previews.
Right.
Dominated by Rebels.
Dominated by Rebels. We're talking about good old Yankee Rebels, though, as Brian Wood tells a story from the Revolution. I'm hoping this is like Northlanders. This looks like it's going to be like Northlanders.
Like Northlanders, but American style.
Right. Which, come on, American Vikings. That's awesome.
And that was arguably one of Brian Wood's stronger works, so this should be one to watch.
Next up from Oni, we have Kaiju Max, which I'm excited about. It has my name in it. Also has monsters, which is cool.
Yeah, Xander Cannon, he worked on Top 10 with Alan Moore and Gene Ha, and then he actually did that Smacks series that was like the offshoot from the Top 10.
Yeah,
world.
his Kaiju look really great for it, for this series. It's like Monster Island.
Yeah, it looks like Monster Island, but then like Godzilla has like it looks like hip hop Godzilla and stuff. It looks like there's a lot of weird steez to it.
From Boom Studios, we have The Realist from Asaf Hanuka. These are reprints of like his award-winning ongoing webcomic series.
And it's like slice of life mixed with surrealism. Beautiful art.
Yeah, I mean, the previews describes it as Crumb meets Klaus. So that's cool, and that automatically gets mentioned on my show. Next we have Super Mutant Magic Academy. Oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
It's the author of
This One Summer. No, which was a great book. That one was very, very reality based. This one, I mean, it's called the Super Mutant Magic Academy, so obviously not reality based.
Less reality based.
It's gonna be really great to see how she tackles that one. She tackled reality very well in This One Summer.
And then what's that other book they're offering? It's like her earlier work, sketchbooks.
Oh yeah, Indoor Voice. Yeah, Indoor Voice is gonna be back in print, and yeah, that one's gonna be her early. Seems like a creative diary almost kind of feel to it.
And she made a big splash last year with This One Summer, so I think both of those books are going to be highly sought after.
Oh yeah. Next up from Image, we have Kaptara #1. This is the new Chip Zdarsky and Kagan McLeod series.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since Infinite Kung Fu, so that's cool, and it's tackling sci-fi in a weird Chip Zdarsky way, so I'm sure it'll be fun, funny.
Oh yeah.
Weird monsters we see in the preview art.
Yeah. Next up we have a precursor to Jupiter's Legacy. We have Jupiter's Circle, which features, obviously Mark Millar is going to be doing the writing. It's got a new artist telling the early tales of how we got to Jupiter's Legacy, so that will be really cool. I'm glad to see that he continues to just crank out stories. Hopefully.
And it seems to be tapping into more the like golden age era of the Jupiter's Legacy universe.
Yeah, the artwork definitely reflects like what you would think about like the image that comes to mind with golden age superheroes. Last up, we have Uncanny Season 2, #1, written by
Andy Diggle,
art by
Aaron Campbell. That is how he pronounces his name.
That is his name.
He will tell you that himself if you encounter him at a convention.
Yeah, he's a powerful wizard. He's also like a 12th level dungeon lord master, so...
And,
love that guy.
This is a perfect time to cut away to our very special segment where Aaron let us do a studio visit.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him about his process, and you get to see some pages.
Yeah.
You had to work at the shop. I went and had a wonderful afternoon with Aaron Campbell.
That's alright. I saw him later that night for beers, so...
Yeah. I didn't get that, so we each got our own.
No foxes allowed.
Yeah, I don't have an ID. But yeah, here's some shots from that right there. Hello, Aaron. It's the second season, first issue. Yeah. You got that beautiful cover that we're going to cut to right now. But yeah, for scale, next to a human body. How far along are you in you're working on inks for what issue?
Issue 5 of Season 2.
Awesome. Is it a 6-issue season like the first was?
Yeah, 6 issues.
What should we expect coming into the second season?
does it pick up exactly where it left off, or has there been a time skip?
Well, we start off with issue 1. It's actually a sort of an origin story. So what you're going to have in that issue is Weaver basically growing up, where he came from, why he is who he is, what things happened in his life that made him the man that he is today. And
I read the press release that you spoke about how the things that happen in with Weaver's childhood, there were parallels within your own life.
yeah, Weaver, the first issue, not to give too much away, he basically goes through losing his father when he is very young. He's like 4 years old. And this leads him down this life of basically in and out of foster home care and mental institutions and psychiatric hospitals and so on and so forth. And what was happening with me at the time, and this happened like right when I got the first script, was my dad was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
Just when you got the first script for season 2?
Yeah, I think I had the script for maybe a week, if that, and yeah, then something happened. My dad had to go to the hospital, and they found a mass in his brain, and it was diagnosed as glioblastoma multiforme stage 4. So, and then he passed away in June, and so as I was working on that first issue, there were a lot of parallels between what was happening in that issue, especially in the very beginning when Weaver is a 4-year-old boy, going through this traumatic sequence where he actually loses his father. His father is wounded. Weaver has to help him with this wound, and then after that, his dad basically leaves and never comes back. And then that's whenever he ends up going into, in and out of homes the rest of his life, or childhood rather. So it was very, hit very close to home in that regard, because, here I am. My dad is also, he has a wound, and we're losing him, and so that first issue was a very difficult issue for me to draw, but I think it was rewarding. It's very rewarding at the same time. And,
brought a bit of catharsis, or?
Yeah, I mean, it helped me. I think it helped me kind of work through a lot of my emotions that I was feeling at the time, and that I was able to express those emotions in the work that I was doing. And I think it lends more depth to what was happening in that. So yeah, and that's why the book was on hiatus last year. So because my work schedule ground to a halt.
Yeah.
And
as to be expected.
Yeah. So and I was trying to get as much work as I could, but I was back and forth between here in Missouri, because that's where my dad was getting his treatment, was in St. Louis, and then just dealing with the emotional stress of what I was going through at the time. So at this point now, I'm finishing up issue 5. There's one more issue in this series, and then that's going to end this first main storyline.
Yeah, season 2 is pretty much capping off what the season 1 started.
Yeah, so now, and the first issue might seem like a standalone, but a lot of the themes that are introduced, a lot of the mystery of what happens to Weaver's father when he does disappear, that comes back up later on.
Okay.
So this is all history that's going to become pretty important later on in the storyline with Weaver. So, and his dad's involvement with Cadre, and
oh, okay.
yeah, and with the whole clandestine superhero world that exists. And I'm trying to think of like, how much I can really say, but what this arc really starts to become about is a search for something. A search for the origin of what Andy terms the specials.
Okay.
In Uncanny. And here in the penultimate issue that I'm currently working on, we encounter for the first time that origin. And it's pretty cool. And this, as it goes along, especially in this issue, there's a bit of a Lost kind of vibe to
Because there's polar bears.
yeah, there's polar bears.
That's cool. I like those guys.
yeah. No, luckily there are no polar bears, but there is a mysterious island that eventually we will come to.
And there are hatchets.
There are hatches.
Oh, nice. Deliver the goods.
Yeah, there are hatches. Yeah.
So that cover is just that's one of my favorite paintings I've ever seen. Not just by you. It's just
shit.
The
Thanks.
color work is amazing.
Screw you, Vermeer.
Yeah, Vermeer's got nothing on this new Campbell piece. Do you want to talk a little bit about your process? Because you normally work traditionally when painting, you work in oils, but this is acrylics, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I've been doing covers for Dynamite for a few years now, and I got to this, and I've had a real itch to get back to painting recently. And like I said, with everything that was happening with my father last year, I was sort of questioning whether or not I should if I wanted to even stay in comics, and whether or not I wanted to try to maybe take a hiatus from comics and start painting again. And
is it completely impossible to do both?
Yeah, because like my paintings take months to execute, and it's full time kind of intense work. So and comics is full time intense work. So so I decided that when they asked me to do covers for Uncanny for season 2, I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna paint them. And
well, kudos.
Yeah,
I'm glad you decided that.
So, but the one decision I did make was that I wasn't going to be able to do it in oils because it just takes too long.
Between layers.
Yeah, between layers, and it doesn't reproduce the way that I paint doesn't reproduce well for covers, and I'm not getting paid thousands of dollars for an oil painting like I would if I was doing book covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured let me try my hand at acrylics. Granted, it's been a long time since I've done any kind of painting in acrylics. Probably not since undergrad.
Wow.
15 years ago. So I just kind of tried to apply my methodology as a glaze painter into this acrylic. So I paint in sort of transparent layers, do underdrawing, build up transparent layers, and it's acrylic, so it dries really fast. So I'm taking almost more of a watercolor approach to the preliminary stages, and then when I get into the final, then I can kind of start going in more opaque with the acrylics, and so I've been loving it.
Did you take a specific influence, like with creating this cover? Did you see it in your mind's eye first, and then it just kind of came out, or were you looking at other people's work and like?
Well, with this cover, actually, the image I had in my head was that opening sequence, the credit roll in Mad Men, where you have the silhouette of Don Draper falling down.
Yeah.
So I had that idea of I wanted Weaver falling. So.
Man, Mad Men really got under your skin, it seems.
Yeah, Mad Men. It did get under my skin, I guess. It's got really great imagery. Mm-hmm. So, but that was sort of the seed of that, and I try not to overthink it too much. Like, I wanted to get to the painting as quickly as possible. So, and I knew that for this first cover, it needed to be fairly simple. I didn't want to overburden myself with something really complex and then fail terribly.
I love that this is an example of simple. Great. And then the colors. I've never really seen you work with this kind of color application. What was the inspiration there?
Well, again, it was trying to be simple. So I knew that I wanted to have, that really kind of stark division down through the piece where you have the cool versus the warm. And how oftentimes I have to kind of force myself to work certain ways or to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of try to back myself into a corner creatively. Because, for instance, when I'm doing my oil painting, I have, I have a very kind of naturalistic color palette that I use. And I didn't want that to be here because I know for comics you got to really like punch it up and you got to hit people over the head, and it needs to have sort of a graphic quality and it's got to be striking. So the way that I got around that was I super limited my palette to basically paint right out of the tube.
Yeah.
So like the blue is just a blue straight out of the tube. The red is just a mixture of cad red and a little bit of brown, and then the orange is cadmium orange straight out of the tube. And so like I basically painted these with like 4 colors. So, and that's how I forced myself into working in a fashion that I don't normally work and getting like really bold color.
Well, I love it. I strongly encourage you to keep exploring this path with the bold colors, especially. It's to see such great like tonal understanding and that realistic chiaroscuro, but with these fantastic unreal colors is very cool.
Yeah.
Is that more or less what we can expect from the covers over the course of season 2 that you'll be doing?
Yeah, it's every color has this color palette.
Oh, great.
I decided right off the bat that I wanted them to be somehow thematically connected to each other, and I figured I could do that with the color palette. So I'm using the exact same colors all the way through. So, and actually, even like this kind of really graphic stripe that I did, which I wanted to harken back to kind of like 60s style illustration.
Totally.
Even that runs through into the cover for issue 2. Now the cover for issue 3, I abandoned the stripes, but I still have this kind of graphic pattern that I'm using that I guess kind of mirrors this in a way. So we will keep going. So I have right now the first 3 covers done, and we'll see where I go with the next 3. But yeah, that's how I'm keeping the themes all connected, is through that palette.
Fantastic. I cannot wait to see the rest of them. And I will selfishly inquire about purchasing this painting.
And I will unselfishly sell it to you.
Oh, yeah, this is wonderful. This is going to work out. I like this. We got a thing going on.
Yeah.
So what else? Any like parting thoughts on the Uncanny season 2? Like, what's the drive? What's the pitch? What's the hard sell?
The hard sell is, well, if for no other reason, read it because I'm drawing it.
There you go. Support local artists, you guys.
Yeah.
Support local. It's important.
Yeah. No, but it's going to be a great story. I mean, if you're a fan of like the TV show Heroes or Lost, then I think you're going to like this, and especially because we don't fuck it up at the end. So,
that would be a big difference.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we're going to show this week from the interview.
Stay tuned in future episodes for more.
Yeah, I think there'll be more maybe next week or the week after, whenever the Harley Quinn Valentine special comes out.
Oh yeah,
because
Valentine's.
He did contribute some pages to that, and they're beautiful. So we'll give you some close-ups on the actual line art, sans color.
Yeah.
With that one, and then an extended interview will pop up on our page within the coming weeks. There's a lot of content to get in there, so don't want to clog up these review shows with it. But you will get a taste here and there, and then we'll put up the full thing.
Cool. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Max is Super Awesome video review show.
No written words.
Until next time, stay frosty and reading.
And watching this video. This video right here. Because this is a video show. This is not a reading thing. You don't read this. You watch this on the YouTubes. Okay? You get it?